All right, continuing on with starting over in Oklahoma. There's so much to tell that I can't cover it in this book, but the short story is that I went to that church every Sunday and Wednesday with the full intention to understand what they were teaching in hopes of determining that the Bible was just another make-believe fairy tale, just like Santa Claus. Oddly enough, a Christian employee of the production company that I had started recently gifted me a brand new Bible. As he gave it to me, he said, "The Lord told me to buy this Bible for you." And I was like, right. But I accepted it as I was looking forward to disproving it. And I remember saying to him, just on a side note, I said, it's funny that you bought this for me. I said, because I was just having this thought of I need to get a Bible to disprove it. And he goes, "Yeah, you should do exactly that." And he handed it to me like, "You're an idiot." Anyway, thank you for giving me that Bible, by the way. I don't even know if he's still alive, and I won't mention any names. He knows who he is. But anyway, I was looking forward to disproving it. It's a great NIV study Bible I use daily. The gift date written in the Bible is 2/25/2002. After 9 months of intense Bible study, church twice a week, and crazy, unexplainable things in my life, I came to the conclusion that the Bible is not a make-believe story. And that's some of the things I want to get into in that trigger warning trauma, which I'll do when I get finished reading this book, which is going to take me just a little bit longer, to say the least. But it is the truth. Romans 10:17 says that, "So then faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God." I decided I'd better give my life to Christ again for the first time. At this time, I'm 32 years old, and I had been a meth addict since I was 26. I'd taken the plunge. I'll go into detail in my other book just because there's so much that happened that was just mind-blowing and unexplainable because it was God. And again, that's that mind-blowing experiences. But now that I was a Christian, I was changed for eternity, but I was still a drug addict. I still drank, I still smoked weed, I hated myself, and I wanted to be dead. I continued studying the Bible. I needed to renew my mind and my spirit, but I was still hell-bent and broken. One day, I had 0.5 gram of some really powerful meth, uncut, and I just wanted it all to end. Either the addiction needed to go or I needed to go. And I'd have been good with either. I knew the Bible fairly well at this point because I'd been analyzing it and studying it. And I'd been going to church, so I knew what to ask for and how to ask God to help me kick the addiction. I was a baby believer, but I was a no-doubt believer, again, because of some of the crazy things that happened to me that were unexplainable. That was no doubt God showing up in my life going, "Hey, what do you think about that?" And I was like, "Ah!" Anyway, we'll get into some of those things because they were, no way. Why would you show that to me? And it was just me and him. That's the deal, is that there's no proof, there's no evidence for the things I'm going to tell you, but you'll just have to take my word for it. And why would I lie about these things? Because they're going to make me look completely crazy, like there's no way it happened. He's got to be crazy. He's back on drugs. Blah, 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 blah. I don't care what you think about it. I'm going to tell you the truth, just like Jesus said. Anyway, so I got my Bible out. I grabbed a bunch of God's very own words, and I said, "Lord, your word says I can ask for anything in Jesus' name, and it shall be done." John 14:14, and a few others like that. I took the 0.5 gram of meth, and I lifted it up to the Lord, and I said, "Lord, I want you to bless my dope. Bless this dope, Lord, and let it either heal me or kill me in Jesus' name, as I can no longer continue as an addict. And I can't flush this down the toilet because I'm an addict." And anyway, the Lord answered my prayer. I did every bit of that meth in that bag, and it was enough that it should have blown my heart up and killed me, or at least kept me up for a couple days. But instead, I was exhausted. I went to bed. I was tired. It was like I'd taken a bunch of sleeping pills. I was having crazy demonic interactions. Many would say, "Oh, it's just the drugs and hallucinations," but no, it was demonic. And as the demons knew that they would not have a hold on me as they did in the past, I was going to be set free, and they were not happy about it. I went to bed, and I slept like a baby. I wake up 3 days later. Yes, 3 days later, and I'm done with meth. I was healed. I was done. I couldn't believe it. I didn't even have any want for it. What's crazy is that morning I woke up to knock, knock, knock on my door from one of my buddies from the music production company who wanted to use my glass pipe to smoke his dope with me. And I told him, get off my front porch and don't you ever come back here. And he was like, dude, come on, man. Let me in, dude. Come on, man. Let me just borrow your pipe. And he thought I was crazy. And of course, he'd already had some experiences with me to know that I'm not the guy you want to mess with. When I tell you to do something, especially like get away from me and get off my porch, you better do it, or there's going to be some violence following that quickly. I didn't have any withdrawals at all, and I was hardcore addict. I never run out of drugs the entire time I was an addict. I always had it, and I always had more than enough to share. One fact I hate about this time in my life is that I did help to create a lot of meth addicts. I know they made their own choices, but I was their role model and misery loves company. And finally, I was free from meth for the next 13 years. The good news is I was clean from meth, and I decided I should take some time off from the software company yet again. I got a job working as a ranch hand, and life was good. As a ranch hand, I was able to live in the home, on the property, for free, and I only had to pay the electric bill. By the way, I got remarried when I was in jail. I just told you the story in the last one. Anyway, I was still playing music, and it was my passion and stress outlet. But I only drank and smoked weed. I met my second wife in the bar where she was bartending, and we ended up remarried for the second time. She was a good Christian woman, and she helped me get back to good. I worked on the ranch for about a year, and then we decided it was time to go back to work at the software company I'd quit to recover from the addiction. They hired me back and promoted me as manager while I was doing installations and training for our clients. It was complex software that took years to conquer. I'd traveled coast to coast and to service our clients during the week, and I played music on the weekends. We'd go to church on the occasional Sunday when I could. But I was nowhere close to acting like a Christian, but the Lord was working on me. I had a longing to continue to study the Word, but I was slowly getting pulled further and further from it. I was a tithing Sunday sinner, living in forgiveness, but needing forgiveness more and more as I fell deeper into sin and further away from the very God that saved me from myself. I was learning lessons I wasn't even aware were lessons at the time. I became overly comfortable and slowly started moving away from my calling from the Lord. I felt a temptation multiple times, again being a country music artist in bars with drunken women, and of course me being an alcoholic drug abuser. Somehow I was able to justify it in my mind. I'd slowly fallen back into drug addiction once again. After 13 years of sobriety from meth had showed its ugly face up, and I believed the lie that I could handle it now. Just think of all the work you'll get done. Oh, the lie that meth tells you and that sucks you back in. Just say no. I ended up divorced again. Divorce number 2. And I really felt like a failure. Lo and behold, I meet my third wife who thinks I'm the man of her dreams. She's young, she's beautiful, she has a heart of gold. She's far from perfect, but despite her 16 years age difference, we tie the knot yet again. Marriage number 3. Here's a picture of us with Gretchen Wilson after I opened up for her in Newkirk, Oklahoma. I've worked at the software company about 15 years at this point. If you put all my time together, yeah, I quit a few times because of music, drugs, and idiocy. But because I needed to escape reality. I continually moved up the ladder of success, and I eventually moved over to sales. I jumped from making $60,000 a year to making $200,000 plus. I love being in sales because I knew the software inside and out. I was a manager, trainer, installer, and support analyst prior to sales. Being an entertainer only made my presentations that more of a home run. I closed some major deals. You could say I got lucky, but I call it blessed. I buy a house. I got thousands of dollars of cash in the bank. I become a top sales guy for the next 5 years. I still play music on the weekends and for special occasions, and I'm having a blast. I've got a young, hot wife. I make good money. I'm playing great gigs with rock star musicians that make me feel like I'm a rock star. Life was good. I was having fun again, but on the inside, I was back to miserable. I still hated myself. I just felt like I was never good enough. And how stupid is that? It's ridiculous, is what it is. By the world standard, I was living the dream. But inside, I was still tormented by my past and present addictions. I ended up divorced again. In every marriage I had, I destroyed it on purpose. I know that sounds crazy, but it's the truth. I just felt like I wasn't worthy of a wife so beautiful or wonderful, and I knew without a doubt they could do better than me. If they didn't have me, they could upgrade and be happy. I know, go figure. This is the product of meth and alcohol added to the equation, and that always makes for a great failure and a bad self image. I've learned the hard way that it doesn't really matter what anyone else thinks about me, it only matters what I think about me. What you think about you. I battled meth off and on during those times. I'd had a few years clean, and then I would stumble onto some old stash or get caught in a low point and fall back into addiction. It sucked that I couldn't just put it down and walk away, even after all the hell it cost me. It's pure evil, and there's no other description for it but evil. It's the perfect alchemy to curse you and all that you love. The one thing I would change looking back is to work on seeing myself through a new lens that doesn't focus on the bad of the past, but on the hope of the future. Alcohol and drugs only add to bad self-image and numb the pain, but it's a vicious cycle that has to be broken. Only you can decide to change you. And on that, it's like I can't change anybody else, but I can make the world a better place by making me the best I can be, right? And the other thing about the marriages is it's funny how women, every woman I've ever been with, it's like you met me in a bar, you met me drinking, you met me, you know what I mean? Like, of course, now my next wife is going to be the most blessed wife I've ever had because it's the best version of me I've ever been. If I ever even get married again, because I'm just like, I'm good. Me and Jesus and my dog. And I don't even need the dog, but I love my dog. But anyway, it's funny how they nitpick. Well, you need to change. You need to this, that, and the other. Da, da, da. And that's what made me go, okay, well, you want me to change all that stuff. That's what actually attracted you to me, minus the meth and the alcohol and so forth. But they were alcoholics too at the time. They just weren't, they didn't smoke weed and they didn't do meth, thank God. But like my first wife, we did a lot of cocaine together. She wasn't perfect by any means. Don't even let her fool you that she was this great, wonderful wife, because she can live her own lie and defend herself. But none of them were perfect. All of them had. Every single one of them cheated on me too. Just for the record, okay? Just for the record, they all cheated on me. So we're even there. Of course, I just had a little bit more opportunity than they had, but they're women. Come on, man. Women can cheat a lot easier than men can. Anyway, I hold nothing. I forgive all of them, and I hope they're blessed and highly favored, and I hope they never see this. I don't even care if they do. It doesn't matter to me. I hope, like I said, they've moved on. Anyway, let's fast forward to today. I've been sober for over a few years now. April 1st of 2019 was not that long ago. That's when I wrote this, so I'll have to give the details in my book, Mind-Blowing Experiences, as there's a lot of them that made me who I am today, that proved to me that God is not only real, he's present and wants a relationship with you. I didn't believe that either for the longest time, but I can say without a doubt that the Lord used the hell I went through to bring me to seek him and his truth. I'd have never guessed I'd be writing a book about these painful experiences, and it's been painful to relive them as I go through these writings. I'm still not perfect. I struggle every day with all kinds of torments, but I'm super sober. I should say I don't do meth, and at the time I was still smoking weed, but anyway, I don't do that anymore either. I don't ever see me going back to that again, even with it showing up from time to time as a temptation. It amazes me how Team Evil somehow finds a way to send some poor soul to tempt me. I had a buddy call me the other day, and he was almost bragging about how he fell again. The Lord gave me what to say to him, and I told him, hey, when I get done with this book, you get a copy of it. I quit drinking about 2 years ago. It was about 6 months after I quit meth. I can't believe I didn't mark that date down just for my own record. I've had a drink here and there. Well, back then I did. When I say I quit drinking, I mean I don't buy a box of wine anymore, and I certainly don't buy a fifth of Crown and drink it. I can't even imagine doing that anymore. Today, it would be a painful next day. I try to make better decisions now that I know what I know. And just to be clear, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do nothing now. I still on occasion cuss like a sailor because I'm a sailor, but he's working on that for me also. I decided after almost 20 years of service that I should quit the software company and move on to other things. I really believe that job, the stress, the pressure to perform made meth more attractive. I can't blame my addiction on that job. It was a bad decision I made, ignorance and self-absorption that failed me. But the music business, long hours, constant travel just made meth more attractive. Alcohol is what I used to get to sleep or just to numb my pain physically and emotionally. And what's sad is that now that I'm sober from both and I've changed my diet nutritionally and spiritually, I've never felt better. My self-worth is back to solid gold. Not to mention that I don't have the aches and pains that I have. I can get up without cracking my knees, and I've had 2 broken legs, and like my hands not even arthritic or nothing. It's like I'm healed. I don't take shots anymore for diabetes. I don't take shots for sinuses anymore because I'm healed. Anyway, please don't let this next bit of information skew your image of me, as I've already aired facts that I'm not perfect. I smoke marijuana on occasion at the time of writing this anyway. As a matter of fact, I now own a legal marijuana company, processing company in Oklahoma. So this had to be maybe 3 or 4 years ago I wrote this. Anyway, I can't state enough that the Lord uses me in my imperfections state for his glory. He always brings me in completely sober, fasting, and filled with his Holy Spirit. I've seen jaw-dropping miracles before my very eyes, from healing a sick woman to seeing a dead woman come back from life. Yes, seeing a dead woman come back from life. Let me just say this. Raising the dead will drop you to your knees in tears. I've given a small reading from that book in this book for your own contemplation in the chapter, Mind-Blowing Experiences. Prepare to have your mind blown with the truth of what happened to me, and most of the time in front of witnesses who were also mind blown by the experience. Now, I do want to say a little bit about this. So even as a sinning Christian, like I was still in addiction, I was still alcoholic, drug abuser, etc. Like the Lord would give me, like I was a Christian though, and he shown me things that were him. And then I'm just like, oh my God. And he would tell me stuff. And he still tells me stuff today all the time. He's like, hey, I need you to fast because. And I'm like, every time, oh man, I don't want to. Now I stay in a constant fasted state. I just fast. Like I do a 18-6 normally. But when I do eat, I eat like I'm cranking in the protein and whatever. But some days, like I just got off a 40-day fast, and it was challenging to say the least, but I'll get into fasting. Matter of fact, I'll do a video on that about what I do, because it will heal you next level. But what he would do is say, I need you to do these things. And then sure enough, 3 days later, somebody would call me, hey man, you don't believe this, but I need you to come out. Yeah, I need you to come pray because my son's in the hospital, and just crazy stuff. And then I would go, I'd be fasted up. I already know what to say. My Bible's so tabbed with all the things. I'll go here, say this, go here, say this, go here, say that, do this. I've got a whole little printout, which I'll give you. I'm going to put a lot of these resources that I talk about, I'm going to put on my website at some point in time. I haven't got a chance to update it yet, but I want to put here's some of the resources of some of the stuff that I've done. Anyway, more on that. But when it comes to marijuana, illegal drugs, prescription drugs, for whatever, my suggestion is to seek healing naturally at all costs. I'm not suggesting that you use drugs or alcohol for that matter. It would be best never even to experience it for the first time. I'm also not saying throw all your meds out, But I've seen people be able to do it, and they were weaned back to health. I am saying seek change through nutrition and physically, spiritually, and mentally, as it's the key to good health and restoration, renewal of the mind. I still play in bars on occasion, and I play some acoustic shows with just me and my guitar. It helps me keep my guitar and vocal abilities up to par. I join some jams around town, and every now and then a band will call me to stand in as frontman or backup vocal or guitar. And I've had more musicians that I respect tell me the sober Wade Quinton sounds way better than the other Wade Quinton. I have other streams of incomes and jobs that I do to keep me busy, and I do volunteer work. Of course, I'm also doing this channel and Wade Quinton and my writing channel, and etc. I've got a couple different things that I'm working on. I have some stuff that I'm doing behind the scenes that I'm setting up that I don't even want to speak about what I'm doing in the future until I get it done and it's launched, just like this. But I don't make any money serving, but it adds riches to my spirit, and that you can only get through unselfish giving of both time and money and self-sacrifice through serving others. More importantly, so that I can share the gift that was given to me, which is Jesus Christ, Acts 20:35. Today I'm a warrior of Christ, fighting the good fight and sharing the good news to the world. You should join the battle. Fight for all that is good. You'll love the spoils of the war, winning these battles through Christ. He's the way, the truth, and the life. It's John 14:6. Next chapter is the Matrix. Anyway, there's so much. Like, here's the deal. You can just do little bitty things to make the world a better place. You don't have to go change the whole entire world, but just, if you don't like where you're at and what you're doing, change it. Try something different. Like, get up earlier. Maybe go out and pick up some trash. Maybe, this is what I do. When I go out in the woods, I walk my dog, I take a trash sack. So at least I'm improving the world just a little bit, every little bit at a time. I pray often, and I'm thankful for everything that I have. And that's where to start. Just be thankful for what you have. Quit looking at the stuff you don't have. Get off of social media. I think it's poison. Stay out of the news. It doesn't matter what's going on in the world, because every time I look out this window right here, guess what? None of that chaos is going on until it shows up right here, which I would suggest you don't show up right here, because I'm going to bring a warrior out there and go, "What are you doing now, my friend?" Anyway, of course in love, only because I love you. But anyway, I hope you're blessed and highly favored. More is coming. So much more. Jesus is coming back. For she does.